Hey guys, welcome back to AIR Reptile Rescue. This next video we're going to do is daily care of your Pac-Man frog. Pac-Man frogs are actually the easiest frog to care for. No matter what frog you get, this is actually the most simple frog to take care of. Pac-Man frogs love to burrow. So you're going to need a substrate they can dig into. And the one that I recommend, that was recommended to me, is it's going to be Eco Earth. Eco Earth is basically like, it's like or mulch. Basically like not mulch.
It's like a dirt.
It's like a dirt. For the Eco Earth, it's a dirt type substrate. So whenever it's wet, it actually turns into dirt. It's not all, it comes into like a block. And you wet it, and it turns into dirt. I'll show you an example of it, with a handful of it, and show you what it looks like whenever I get to that area of actually showing you the enclosure and stuff. But it should be about 3 to 4 inches deep, and that gives your horned frog or your Pac-Man frog enough room to actually burrow down in it. Their temperature should be between 75 and 80 degrees during the day. Now, these guys are just like corn snakes in my last series. Their temperatures can actually fluctuate from daytime to nighttime. At night, you want their temperatures to be between 65 and 75. So you actually want their temperatures to come down. One of the things that I usually say is your daytime temperatures are anywhere between 75 and 80.
Rex Michael, leave it alone.
What you want to do is at night, I would say bring your temperature down to 70. Your frog will still be comfortable. They'll be happy. Now, here's the one thing that we didn't get to mention in the fun facts. I mentioned that they're South American horned frogs. But if you go to South America and just look around, you're not going to just see one. Because they are actually found in the most humid forest all over South America. So if you go to South America, you walk into a forest and you're like, okay, it's not humid out here. You're not going to see a Pac-Man frog. Now, if you go to one of the most humid forests in South America, I can guarantee you're going to see a lot of Pac-Man frogs in that forest. So that's the reason that they love their humidity.
Although you might have to actually dig for them.
Yeah, you'll have to dig for them most likely in the wild, because they are, whenever they feed, which I'll mention that in the proper feeding and handling for Pac-Man. But whenever they're feeding, they're opportunistic feeders. What they do is they wait for their prey. So say if you're a cricket and you're jumping across in front of a Pac-Man frog, he's going to wait until you're about this close to his face, and he's going to reach out and lunge and grab you. That's how Pac-Man frog is.
They're also known as ambush predators.
Yeah, they will ambush their prey. So if it's a rodent or another frog or something, or a fish, they're going to sit there and they're going to wait until you don't notice them. And as soon as they do see that and they realize, okay, the prey realizes, okay, I'm not in danger, it's not going to do me anything, your Pac-Man frog will leap and attack that prey and take it down. It's basically just like a snake strike. It's least expected whenever it happens. Now, as far as if they bite you, it's not going to happen that way. It's more or less whenever you put your finger right in front of their face. It's just like if you put your finger in somebody's face, they're going to get upset. Same thing with the Pac-Man frog. You put your finger in front of its face, it's going to get upset, it's going to bite you. So, please keep your fingers away from its mouth. Just a heads up. Now, with their humidity, like I said, they love humidity. They love humid areas. With their humidity, it should be between 50 and 80%. If it gets below 50%, they'll go into pumation. If it gets above 90%, it's not bad for them, but they're not going to be as comfortable. They're going to want to be where it's cooler at, like in their dirt or in their water bowl. So if it gives above 80%, They're going to try to find the coolest spot they can get to that's not humid and get out of the area. Um, Pac-Man frogs are nocturnal animals, which means they're more active at night. So if you're sleeping and all of a sudden you hear your frog croaking or you hear your frog chirping, that's because of the fact that guess what? Your frog's saying, "Hey, I'm still awake. Why aren't you?" They're nocturnal. They're gonna be awake, but they're not that bad. They're great pets. Um, the first thing that I always make sure to mention is always check your temperatures and humidity. Like with my Pac-Man frog right now, I don't have a temperature gauge in there due to the fact that I have him in a small enclosure so he can grow. And I'll talk about the proper size enclosure to put them in so that they can live out their life in it. I know a lot of people are probably going to sit there and comment and say, "Oh, well, that seems like it's too big for a frog that's 4 to 7 inches." The more room they have, the better they are, the happier they are. So keep it in mind whenever I mention this, guys. I'm not saying it just to say, "Hey, get this big of an enclosure." No, it's actually recommended for them. Right now, mine's still considered a juvenile, so he's in a small container until I can get him into a bigger enclosure. But always check your temperatures and humidity. The next thing that you're going to want to do is always check the substrate to make sure that it's got enough moisture in it. If it starts to dry out, that's going to mean that your Pac-Man frog is about to go into brumation because of the fact there's not enough humidity or enough moisture. And if they go into brumation, they'll stay in that and they'll until that moisture or humidity is brought back up. So always make sure that it's moist enough in their enclosure. You cannot overwater a Pac-Man frog. Their substrate can be... I don't want it to where you have it to where it's like 4 inches of water mixed in with the substrate.
Don't make it to where it's like mud.
Yeah, don't make it to where it's just like a complete slop. Make it to where you can actually tell that it's the eco-earth in there and it has moisture. But make sure it's enough moisture to where it's all moist no matter what you do. After doing that, always wet the substrate if you feel that it's not moist enough. One of the ways that I do this on a daily basis, sometimes twice a day because we're in a high humidity state, what I do is I'll actually have my fiance here, she will actually mist, with a spray bottle, will mist the enclosure to make sure there's enough moisture in that enclosure for my Pac-Man frog.
I also miss the substrate when I do the enclosure just to be sure.
Yeah, she makes sure that there's enough moisture in the substrate, so she'll mist the top of it to make sure that it soaks down into the substrate to give the substrate its main moisture that it needs. Now, the next thing that I'm going to mention is the same thing you would do with your snake or lizard. Always provide fresh water daily. The fresh water is healthy for them. Yeah, they're going to get it dirty from jumping out of their substrate into their water bowls. It happens, but you know what? If you want them drinking that water, you don't want them drinking and having substrate going in their mouth. It's not what they eat. Yeah, they do. Hey,
they soak it in their skin.
My Pac-Man frog will literally lay in his bowl and open his mouth.
Well, then he's not acting like a normal Pac-Man now.
I know, but like she was saying to me, most of the time frogs actually don't drink their water. They soak it into their pores in their skin. With my Pac-Man, somehow he is weird, but he'll actually lay down in his water bowl and crouch down and open his mouth and let the water flow in his mouth. I don't want that dirt getting in his mouth. So I always make sure that he's got fresh water daily. Not just that, fresh water is always best. Just like for your dogs and cats, you want to give them fresh water. Same thing with your frog. Give them fresh water. It's healthy for them. Now, juveniles and babies should be fed every 2 to 3 days. That's just like my Pac-Man. He gets fed every 2 to 3 days. It's actually pretty cheap. So It's not hard to feed them. Now, the difference between feeding your adult and your juveniles or babies is with your adult, they only have to be fed 1 to 2 times a week. With the juveniles and babies, I recommend every 2 days. It'll help them grow faster. Sorry guys, I ate a pork chop. I'm having heartburn, but the adults don't need that much food. So remember, for your juvenile, 2 to 3 days. I say every 2 days, but your adult is once, twice a week. With their feeding, whenever you're feeding them, if you're feeding crickets, remember, I'd say, like mine ate 3 crickets tonight, and he's a juvenile. So I'd say 2 or 3 crickets for a juvenile or a baby. Once they reach adult, do about 6 to 8 crickets. That'll give them enough to actually hold them over to that next feeding.
It's actually recommended to not put more than what they can eat in a 24-hour period.
Yeah, so if they can't eat the 6 to 8 in that 24-hour period, wait until your Pac-Man frog is back in hiding in its substrate and remove any excess out of there so that they don't gorge themselves and overfeed. And not just that, but it's pretty stressful because if you have a cricket jumping on your face, you're going to get stressed out. Same thing with your Pac-Man. They don't like that extra annoyance in their cage. We're going to wrap it up, guys, on this one. Before I do, I'm actually going to take you over to my Pac-Man frog, who's actually back under its substrate right now, but I'm going to show you how I missed and what I do with the water bowl so you guys kind of have an idea, and then we'll wrap up the video. So if you guys want to come with me, let's go ahead and go over to my Pac-Man. I'll take him down so you guys can see him. First, let's get the...
God said let there be light, and there was.
Oh, guys, if y'all noticed the hamster cage, he is a new addition.
Yes, guys, we do have a new hamster in the family.
He's kind of buried at the moment, or I would show y'all him, but he's resting.
As I posted on my reptile page on Facebook, our kitten Princess passed away the night after I did a live feed on Facebook of our animals here at the rescue. And so I decided that I was going to go ahead and get Amber her... well, it's actually a hamster we both wanted. It's called a Fancy. He's actually sleeping under his wheel right now in his bedding. But I decided I went ahead and got her the hamster due to the loss. And then very next day, what do we find? A dog. Yeah, so...
It wasn't the next day you got him for me Monday.
Okay, so...
It was 3 days after we got...
No, I got him Tuesday. So 2 days after I get her hamster, we find a dog running the street that doesn't have a home. So...
And she attached to me, of course.
Yeah, she's attached to both of us, really, but in all honesty, guys, I think she's abused, because she cowers down real... Just even me talking sometimes if she's in the kitchen, I just say something to Amber and she cowers down thinking she's in trouble. I'm worried she's abused, so I don't think I'm going to be able to adopt her out. I'm going to see how she is at the 6-month period, and we may adopt her, we may not. But if I do, I'll keep you guys updated on how she's doing. And
if she happens to become very attached, she won't be adopted out at all.
But guys, if you look inside the enclosure for my Pac-Man frog, I have 3 crickets in there that he didn't eat.
Clean his bowl out.
But if you look at how nasty that frog's water is, this is why I say daily change of water. Look at all the substrate dirt in there that he's drug in there. If you look right over here in this corner, right by my pinky finger, that is where he used the bathroom at. So I'm going to change that out and give him fresh water. That right there is just nasty. But that's how they live. They live for moisture. So take this out. And don't worry, guys, I'm not pouring it into my sink with clean dishes. These are all dirty. This is the dirty side of dishes. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all the extra substrate off of the sides and off the rim of the bowl first. Do not use chemicals, please. If you use chemicals to do this, all you're asking for is for your frog to get killed, because the chemicals will harm them very, very much. Now, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my finger, because I don't want to use a sponge on this, due to the fact that, honestly, there's not enough room for a sponge.
Not that, but with the texture of it, it could tear up the sponge.
Yeah, and then you're going to get small pieces of sponge in your frog's bowl, and honestly, it's not something you want. Where's my blue cup?
That's a good idea. It was just up here. Oh, it's in the bathroom.
Okay, go grab me my blue cup. So guys, I'm going to take over the camera for a second. Now I actually have to move crickets out of my way. Come on, goofball. As you guys can see, I have crickets that decided they wanted to be right in the center of attention and get right where his water bowl goes. In all honesty, I actually think that I actually have an overabundance of substrate in here. Sorry guys if the camera was all crazy, but
yeah. Let's...
Oh,
Hey, Rex, leave her alone.
trying to do this and
That's why she's growling at you.
everything else. But if Amber would come over this way and show you guys on camera, what I'm trying to do is not lose a cricket out in my damn house. But I want the bowl, whenever I have it in its enclosure, I want the bowl level with the substrate, so that they don't have to get up too high, or they don't have to climb over the edge of the bowl to get into their bowl.
They're actually not very good climbers.
They're not at all. They actually don't hop a lot either. Whenever they do, it's mainly just to get away from something. So always keep that in mind, guys. So what I'm going to do is, as you guys can see, I just went ahead and put it back in.
Don't put a lot of water because they can drown very easily. They're not swimmers.
Yeah, they're not swimmers, but they'll know when to come out of their water.
That's a very shallow bowl, so...
Yeah, so I didn't even use all the water that was in the cup. But, we're going to wrap up this one, guys. Let me mist it real quick to show you guys what I want for substrate. The crickets are not going to be happy that I'm misting them too. But I'm making sure that there's enough water that's going on the very top of the substrate from the misting bottle to make sure that wherever the Pac-Man frog is that moisture will get down to him. So make sure that it's that way.
So I'm just going to pick up a few pieces, but you can see
Yeah, that's
how
the moss
moisture
that she
it is.
has in her hands. You can see how much moisture it has to it. You want a lot of moisture in there because that will help your frog to basically thrive in its enclosure. I just had a cricket decided that it wanted to go for a swim. Now, guys, if you look at the side of this enclosure, like I said, it's something small. You can actually see the moisture in the substrate. Now, if you're looking at substrate, you're trying to think, okay, when should I change out the substrate from a Pac-Man frog? Look at your substrate. If you start to see mold growing in the substrate, anywhere around the substrate that you can see on top of it, in it, change out that substrate immediately. That mold can kill your frog.
A good way to really check it is to kind of toss it with your hands.
But be careful of your frog.
Yeah, just make sure you know where your frog's at.
Make sure you know where your frog is at all times whenever you're handling. Because if not, you can get that finger right in front of the face of your frog, and I guarantee your frog's gonna bite you. Mine tried it earlier, actually.
Yeah, you're doing something with the cricket.
Yeah, I was moving one of the crickets out of the water bowl, trying to make sure it didn't drown, so he had something to eat. And he went and attacked my hand. Didn't bite me, but like lunged at it and hit me and backed up and was like, "Wait, that's not food." So, yeah, I was just in his area and he was in hunt mode, so I blame myself for it. I can't blame him or her. I don't know what it is yet. But guys, thank you so much for watching this. I know I kind of ramble on sometimes in some of my videos, but I'm very passionate about what I do. I'm very, very passionate about reptiles and frogs and dogs and cats.
Any animal.
Yeah, really anything that's a living creature I'm very passionate about. So you'll hear me ramble on about different creatures all the time. So thank you guys so much for sticking around and watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe our channel. The more likes I get, the more YouTube will take notice and put out there that I have videos out. Subscribe and hit that bell notification. Hit all. And every time I post a video, you guys will get a notice saying, hey, there's a new video by AIR Reptile Rescue. And there'll be new content for you guys to take a look at. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to post them below down in the comment section. If you can't post in the comment section, you're having problems with YouTube, find me on Facebook at AIR Reptile Rescue. Ask me there through Messenger. On there, there's a link to, there's a little spot to click to say send a message. Send me a message or comment on one of the posts there, and I'll reply. If you have questions and you can't get it to send me a message, then go ahead and comment, and I'll send you a private message. Just comment, say, hey, send me a PM or something like that, or send me a message. I have a question. I'll send you a private message, and we'll chit-chat, and we'll talk about what the issue is that you're having, and I'll help you with whatever you need help with. Thanks to all of my subscribers, all 70 of you guys. Y'all are awesome for your subscriptions. I know I'll get more. Thanks to all of my followers, over 70 followers on Facebook so far. Over 69 likes on Facebook so far. So guys, thank you so much for the support. We love it here. We love y'all's support. It shows me that I'm doing something that helps others. And we appreciate it. So you guys come back, check out the next video. It's going to be our last one in the Pac-Man Frog series. It's about the proper feeding and handling.
And we'll see if we can show y'all Bandit at the beginning.
Yeah, we'll actually try to. I'll see if I can get Bandit out. I might not be able to, but you know what? We'll see if we can.
I can probably catch him since he's sleeping.
But
oh, he's getting in his wheel. It just moved.
But yeah, guys, come back, check out the next video. We appreciate your support, so keep it up. We'll keep up the hard work and keep info coming. Later, guys.